kind of windy out. So, hi guys, welcome back to the garden. I just got done picking the most beautiful basket of tomatoes. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't care if there's like scarring and stuff. I just cut away from that, but oh, so pretty. Another Cherokee purple. I pick them usually a little bit before they're fully vine ripe, just so I protect them from the birds and the bugs and stuff. And then I just let them do that last little bit of ripening in the house on the windowsill. But I mentioned I'm gonna have to fertilize again. And I think I'm doing it at the right time. Something that tomato plants can struggle from at the end of the season, as you know, is blossom end rot. They just don't have the nourishment that they need, and then they start pittering out on you. So I am going to give them some of these Job's tomato spikes. And I worked with these at the beginning of the season, and they worked so great. It will say to put like 2 to 3 for every plant. I think I have enough this time. Last time the package I bought only had 18. So I'm going to go around and just put these about 6 inches away from the stem of the plant, around the plant. And that should carry them through the rest of the season. So it's been exactly today, August 1st. Exactly today. It was 8 weeks ago that I fertilized them for the first time. All right, not everyone is going to have baskets and baskets of tomatoes coming in at once, or you're just not going to have as big of a garden as some of us do, where we're growing for enough food for putting up for the year. So I thought what I would do is share with you how you can make small batch spaghetti sauce. I've shared large batch spaghetti sauce in the past, but how about this week I throw together with that basket of tomatoes I just pulled in, which might be a week's worth of harvesting for somebody with a small garden, how you can make just a real simple garden fresh spaghetti sauce. So think about it now. Some of the ingredients I plan on using are my yellow squash and my zucchini, some of the onions I harvested, garlic, basil, oregano, thyme. Peppers, we'll put some peppers in it. And yeah, I think it'll be fun. And then you can still make a really yummy spaghetti sauce and, freeze it if you don't need that much at once, or do a small batch canning. So I'm finally out here picking my green beans, and we'll be canning green beans this week. I've never done a green bean canning video just because to me it's simple. I do fresh batch canning. I don't blanch them. I just snap them, put them in the jars, and freeze, and can. But if you're interested in a canning video and green beans, let me know. I wouldn't mind doing it. You might be watching me try to harvest in here, and how in the world can she see what she's doing in that mass of green, that sea of green? Well, I planted these in 3 2-foot square rows, about 13, 15 feet long, something like that. So there was like a 1 foot walk space in between, and I thought I'd be clever enough that I could find that walk space in between, and I'm struggling. So I planted 9 beans per square foot, so I have a lot of beans in here, in quite a small space, really. So 13 feet row, 6 feet wide. So that's just my method of gardening, is very high intensely to get the staples that I need for the year. So if you're just dreaming about garden planning for next garden season, just an idea to consider. And I'll be honest, you do miss some. When they're this crowded, like I'm going back, I miss this whole outer row over here. And so it's not super thinned out where you can just see everything. It does, at least for me, I tend to, at the end of the year, I'm like, holy cow, I missed that many when I go to pull the plants. I like my beans beanier, so I tend to let them get, I like them fairly large versus let me pull a more tender bean. So this would be something a little bit more tender than I like to harvest them beanier. I just like the beanier flavor of them, more meaty. But you don't want them to go too far, then the pods get to where you can't chew them. I think down south they called it what they call it, shoe leather or something like that, but there's an actual recipe to cook chewy bean pods. You gotta cook them long time, but they are yummy. It just takes a long time to cook them down where you can eat them. Remember how I told you guys when I was picking beans, I was so disappointed in myself that I grew the flat style ones? Because I know I don't like these. Look what I just found. My round green beans that are my favorite. So I wonder if a package got messed up somewhere, or if I ran out of beans and ended up filling in the gap. Interesting. That's why my videos to you guys are my garden journal. So I often go back and watch my own videos just to remember what I did, or hey, let me go look at last year's video. When did I harvest my potatoes then? And it's just a good, such a good garden journal for me. And that is just, I know a lot of people have mentioned, Rachel, you should keep a garden journal. I do, it's on YouTube. I need to start it where I actually detail it in the description notes below, so I can have even a better reflection. Almost done, and I have a lot of beans to process. This is my second full basket, and I'm just so thankful. This is really going to, I probably will get a whole nother harvest with as many flowers are still on the bushes of this for the rest of the season. Whoops, if I would quit breaking my plants when I harvest beans, I would anyway. So I'll show you the end result of the harvest when I get done here. And if, like I said, if you guys want to see the canning video, which is really a super basic video, but maybe it'll help some beginners out. Just let me know down in the comments. I have no idea what I even look like. I'm sure I'm a nasty mess. But I'm super happy. That is 2 big baskets of green beans. Went and ahead and picked the last few of my Dixondale onions I was leaving in the garden. A nice little basket of tomatoes. And I just got done telling Todd I'm tired. That's just back-breaking words, squatting over picking beans. So I think I'm gonna go wash these real quick, and then I'm gonna just sit down in the living room and snap beans for the rest of the evening, and we'll probably can them tomorrow. I did have a thought though at the end of the video. I often get asked, how big is my garden? My garden used to always be 40 by 40. This year when we put the fence up, just because of length of boards, it ended up being more around 45 by 45. So that allowed me to extend my garden a little bit. But honestly, it's smaller than your typical suburban backyard neighborhood. Your typical suburban neighborhood backyard. So I hope that this shows you how much you can grow in and I mean, this is like, I've already harvested this ×3, and they're just now coming in of the tomatoes. First picking of green beans, I can easily get another picking of green beans off my bush beans, probably 1 or 2 more times of exactly the same size. And I still have my pole beans growing on the arch trellis. So don't be afraid to maximize the space that you have using the square foot growing guide, high intensity. It might be tricky come harvest time to figure out your footing and where to gingerly place your feet, but you can really, really maximize how much you can grow in a small space. People often say, well, why don't you just extend your garden so you don't have to do that? If I can grow in a small space, that's less for me to manage, weeding, watering, wood chip paths, bringing in compost, bringing in just all the things that it takes to manage a garden. So I guess my encouragement is bigger's not necessarily always better. So anyway, just my thoughts to wrap up this video. Now I'm gonna go wash my beans, sit down, watch some Olympics, and snap some beans. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.